There's a specific kind of dread that settles over a fan base when they realize the people running their franchise don't have a plan. Not frustration, not impatience, pure stomach-dropping dread. The kind that comes from watching something completely avoidable unfold in slow motion while nobody at the top seems to notice or care. That's exactly where Indiana Fever fans are sitting right now. Free agency is moving fast. The talent pool is historically wide open, with roughly 80% of the league available. And the team built around the most electrifying player women's basketball has seen in a generation is somehow fumbling what should have been their easiest offseason yet. This isn't about unrealistic expectations. This isn't about impatient fans who don't understand how roster building works. This is about a front office with every advantage imaginable. A generational talent, cap space, and a wide open market that appears to be blowing it anyway.
It's not looking good right now. Not looking good right now. Amber Cox, I don't know what you are doing. You are putting on a near disaster class of free agency. Now, there's some GMs who have absolutely screwed the pooch and just completely ruined their cap for the future, overpaying.
Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. Before we talk about what's happening right now, we need to go back, because the history here is impossible to ignore and completely relevant to everything unfolding today. Last offseason, Amber Cox walked into one of the most enviable positions any WNBA general manager has occupied in years. She had Caitlin Clark. She had Aaliyah Boston. She had a young roster with genuine upside, a fan base that was suddenly one of the most engaged in the league, and a mandate that couldn't have been clearer. Build around your franchise player. Get her the right pieces. Don't overthink it. What followed was a lesson in how not to construct a supporting cast. DeWanna Bonner arrived with considerable hype and delivered well below what the roster needed. Sydney Colson was brought in as a backup point guard and contributed almost nothing in that capacity on the court. She found a role as a locker room personality, which has its value. But a roster spot used on vibes is a roster spot that isn't improving your basketball team. And then there was Natasha Howard, who came in with MVP ambitions, occupied the power forward position, and spent most of the season floating in the paint, unable to space the floor, clogging the exact areas the offense needed open, and quietly suffocating the pick-and-roll partnership between Clark and Boston that should have been unstoppable. Cox had an entire season of evidence showing exactly what went wrong. The question was whether she was paying attention. What made this particular offseason different from any other in recent WNBA history wasn't subtle. It was a wide-open, unprecedented opportunity that any prepared front office should have been ready to capitalize on from the moment last season ended. Approximately 80% of the league hit free agency simultaneously. That kind of market availability doesn't happen often. It means veterans looking for new homes, role players testing their value, young developing talents available at minimum contracts, and proven contributors suddenly accessible to teams that move quickly and decisively. For a franchise with cap space, a clear identity, and an obvious blueprint, this was essentially a buffet. All you had to do was know what you were hungry for. Cox should have had a ranked list of targets ready before the market even opened. She should have been making calls during the season, building relationships, testing interest, laying groundwork, so that the moment free agency started, the Fever were already ahead of every other team scrambling to figure out their plan. That's what proactive roster construction looks like. That's what franchises that consistently compete do differently from franchises that consistently react. Instead, what Fever fans have watched is something that looks far more like improvisation than preparation. Slow movement in a fast market. Reactive decisions when the situation demanded aggression. A front office that appears to be responding to what's happening around them rather than driving it. In a market this open, moving slowly is functionally the same as standing still. To be completely fair, not every move Cox has made this offseason deserves criticism. There are pieces here worth acknowledging before we get into what's missing. Kelsey Mitchell was re-signed to the Supermax at $1.4 million. Critically, it's structured as a one-year deal, which means the Fever haven't damaged their future flexibility while keeping one of their most dangerous offensive weapons. Mitchell is a legitimate scorer, one of the better ones in the league, and retaining her makes obvious sense. Lexi Hull is coming back, and while she isn't a star, she's a connective tissue player who defends and competes without hurting you. Reports strongly indicate Sophie Cunningham is being added, which is genuinely good news. She shoots threes, brings toughness, and adds a competitive edge this roster needs. Monique Billings has been signed, and reaction across the basketball community has been almost uniformly positive. She's hardworking, fits the system, and improves the front court depth in a real way. Damiris Dantas returns on a minimum, adding another rotation body at the big positions. Taya Harris comes in as a versatile wing option with ties to the coaching staff's existing relationships. So yes, there's something being built here. There are reasonable decisions mixed into this off-season's activity. But look at every single one of those moves and ask yourself one honest question. Does any of this actually fix the problem that broke the Fever's offense all last season? The answer is sitting right there, and it's uncomfortable. To understand why the Fever's offseason falls short, despite the moves they've made, you have to understand what actually went wrong on the court last season. Because this isn't about perception or narrative. It's about specific, documented, film-proven basketball. Modern offensive systems are built on spacing. The principle is straightforward. Every player on the floor needs to be a threat that defenses must respect. When that's true, driving lanes open up, passing windows stay clear, and the best players on the team get to operate with room to work. When even one player can't shoot, defenses sag off them, flood the paint, and compress everything the offense is trying to create. At the 4 position, this problem became the defining issue of the Fever's season. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston's pick-and-roll partnership is genuinely dangerous when it has space. Clark with the ball, Boston setting the screen. The defense is forced into impossible choices, but only if the floor around them is open. Last season, Natasha Howard was almost always somewhere in the paint when that action developed. 2 bodies already crowding the restricted area before the play even began. Help defenders didn't have to travel far. Clark's passing windows tightened. Boston's roll got cut off faster. The whole action became dramatically easier to defend. Clark's assists dropped in those stretches. The offense stagnated. None of it had anything to do with effort. It was purely a personnel construction problem, and it still hasn't been fixed. Here's what makes the current situation genuinely maddening. The solutions aren't complicated. They aren't expensive. They're sitting right there in the free agent market, waiting, end quote. The first option is Becca Allen, most recently with the Chicago Sky. The instinct to dismiss anything connected to last season's Sky is understandable, but it's wrong when applied to Allen specifically. She wasn't the reason Chicago struggled. She was a quality role player without quality teammates around her. Go back to her time in Phoenix alongside Diana Taurasi, and the picture becomes much clearer. Allen contributed in a real system with real talent around her. She shoots threes at a respectable rate, defends competently, and can operate at either the 3 or 4 position, giving the coaching staff genuine lineup flexibility. She already has an existing relationship with Sophie Cunningham from their Phoenix days together, and chemistry between rotation players is a real competitive advantage that reduces adjustment time. The second option is Laeticia Amihere, a South Carolina product shaped by Dawn Staley's program, which means toughness, discipline, and defensive intensity are already built into how she plays. She runs the floor hard, does the dirty work that doesn't show up in statistics but absolutely shows up in outcomes, and is likely available on a minimum contract. Now, here's the part that should make this decision obvious. The Fever don't have to choose between them. Sign both. Neither breaks the cap. Together, they solve the spacing problem, add front court depth, and give the coaching staff real matchup flexibility. Nothing has been confirmed, No announcement has been made, but the fear that's spreading through the Fever fan base right now isn't irrational panic, it's pattern recognition. And the pattern points toward a genuinely alarming possibility. There are credible concerns, grounded in how this front office has consistently operated, that Amber Cox may bring Natasha Howard back. And if that happens, it wouldn't just be a missed opportunity to improve. It would be an active step backward taken with full knowledge of the consequences. Howard has all-star history. She has veteran experience. She has name recognition that makes the move sound defensible in a press release. To anyone who hasn't watched every Fever game from last season with a critical eye, the decision would seem reasonable on the surface. She's proven. She's experienced. She wants to compete. That's a coherent argument on paper. But paper doesn't play basketball games. The film does. And the film from last season documented clearly and repeatedly exactly what Howard's presence does to this specific offensive system. The spacing disappears. The pick and roll becomes manageable for opposing defenses. Clark's decision windows shrink. Boston's effectiveness decreases. The offense loses a dimension it can't afford to lose. This isn't a criticism of Howard as a basketball player in every context. In a different system, with different personnel, she could contribute meaningfully. But on this roster, running this system, built around this specific partnership, she is a structural mismatch. Bringing her back would mean choosing familiarity over function. This conversation has to go beyond free agent signings and roster decisions, because what's actually at stake here is bigger than any single offseason. Caitlin Clark's rookie season was remarkable under any measure, but especially remarkable given the circumstances it was delivered in. 19 points and 8 assists per game. Constant defensive attention that pushed the boundaries of physicality. A national spotlight following her to every arena in the league. A roster that, if we're being genuinely honest, wasn't constructed to maximize what she does best. She handled all of it and dragged a flawed team to the playoffs at 22 years old. Look at how franchises that get this right operate. When the New York Liberty built around Breanna Stewart, they surrounded her with Jonquel Jones, kept Sabrina Ionescu, and added shooters who created space rather than eliminated it. When the Las Vegas Aces built around Aja Wilson, they gave her Chelsea Gray and Kelsey Plum, players specifically chosen to amplify what Wilson does best. Those franchises understood the asset they were managing and made deliberate, intelligent decisions to protect and maximize it. The Fever have arguably the most transformative talent the league has ever seen. The organizational response to having her has been 2 consecutive off-seasons of slow, reactive, structurally flawed decision-making. There's also the 10th draft pick, with Janiyah Barker and Gabriela Jaquez as realistic targets. Both are worth taking, but draft picks develop over time. The spacing problem needs solving right now, this offseason, before the window moves further. The Indiana Fever have pieces. Some of this offseason's moves are genuinely solid. But the most important problem this team faced all last season, the one that showed up in the film every single night, still hasn't been addressed. The stretch 4 position remains a hole. The solutions are available, affordable, and sitting right there in the market. Becca Allen, Laeticia Amihere. 2 moves that together would transform this roster's flexibility and fix a documented flaw. What cannot happen under any circumstances is Natasha Howard returning to a system she structurally doesn't fit. Caitlin Clark has delivered everything asked of her and more. She's earned a front office that operates at her level. Right now, that's not what she has. The path forward is clear. The moves are available. The only question that remains is whether Amber Cox has the vision and urgency to make them before the window closes completely. Stay locked with my channel, Simply Explained, for further WNBA updates.